Hey there, Welcome to day 14 of our Get Up and Go Challenge. Challenge 5 of, I guess, just Get Up and Go Challenge. It's our 5th challenge of this year for the Get Up and Go Challenge. It's a 30-plus day challenge to help us guarantee that we have better results after any change or challenge we face than before it. Today we're talking about the P of soaP, the soaP framework. This is our framework, my worn out part of soaP. It's getting kind of scary after 5 times. We're going to talk about the P, and what does P stand for? The P with respect to finances, financial health. Remember, there's 7 areas and aspects of our life: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, contribution, and relationships. Oh my, I need some more coffee this morning. What the heck does the P stand for? P stands for progress. Progress in terms of we've done something. We took an action yesterday. We looked at our situation. What's going on with our finances? What do we need to do, or what do we want to do? What's our story now, and what do we want our story to be? And how are we going to fill that gap? Well, the soaP framework fills that gap. How? Because O is all about the options. What could we possibly do to move us from where we are to where we want to be? Not all the way in one fell swoop, although that's awesome when that happens, but probably just the next step, one step at a time to get us from where we are to where we want to be. The A is, of course, taking action, because nothing happens unless we do something, unless we move, unless we get up and go, unless we actually take a step toward what we want. And the P, the progress, is all about, well, how are we doing? Are we moving toward what we want, or are we moving away from what we want? Because it'd be awesome if everything we did moved us toward what we want, but I think we've all figured out and learned from personal experience, everything we do isn't a 100% success first time out of the gate. Sometimes we try things and we fall flat on our face, they don't work, but we get ourselves up, we brush our knees off, and we keep moving forward. So today we have a tool, one of my favorite tools, and I'm going to share with you my messy version of this tool. But one of my favorite tools is something called the Lifeline exercise. And it's a tool I used a lot when I was in my, 30s, maybe my 20s. When I learned about it in my late 20s, used it a few times through my 30s. By the time I was in my 40s, I was running through my life like a chicken with my head cut off, and I fell away from using it. But in my 50s, and now in my 60s as well, since I hit the big 6-0 this year, I've been using it again, especially during the Get Up and Go Challenge. It's one of my favorite tools to use because it's a way to quickly and easily take a snapshot of where we've been and where we're going, and pull some of the lessons that we want to learn from our past experiences and bring forward with us to help us be more successful. Progress is all about momentum, gaining momentum, getting an edge on ourselves, so when we take a step and we have success with it, we immediately take the next step and the next step. That's how we get to and achieve anything. There's that saying, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. How do you achieve a goal or an objective, or how do you get anything that you want? One thing at a time, one act at a time, one step at a time, one decision at a time. And that's how we do it. Now, the Lifeline exercise, what the heck is a Lifeline exercise, you might be asking? A Lifeline exercise is simply a timeline of our life, and we can do it with respect to any area or aspect of our life. But since we're talking about financial, let's do it with our financial life. So if I'm going to make a graph or a picture, I just take a piece of paper. Now, this is of course, my workbook for this Get Up and Go Challenge. So you can see I've already actually roughed out a rough version of my timeline, but I wanted to make it a little neater so I could explain it to you. I will show you why I'm doing that, because I'll show you the timeline I've used in the last couple of challenges. I just put the year I was born. So year of my birth, 1960, everybody? 1960. So I put 1960, my year of birth, as the beginning point, because I really didn't do much before I was born, and then financially anyway. And then I put 2020, and I like to put a ... with an arrow, meaning that my life is going to continue past 2020, but this is just a look at my past experiences financially. And then I have a positive above the line and a negative below the line, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I have actually gone negative on my financial situation. I know, maybe it's just me, but it's true. So I look at that. And then I put like a little section for notes on the bottom, because what this does is it helps me see milestones and relationships in other areas and aspects of my life. For example, when I got divorced, it had a huge impact on my financial situation, right? When I got married, it had an impact on my financial situation. When I got my first job, when I started my first business, when I when I was seriously ill, when I had my sudden cardiac arrest. Those things are physical, but they definitely impacted my finances. Now, what do we want to graph on this, on our lifeline? Depends on what area or aspect of my life I'm working on. Maybe if it's my physical well-being, I want to graph my weight or look at my weight and how that's changed over years, or my overall sense of well-being. But for financial, do I want to look at my income? Do I want to look at my worth, my net worth? Do I want to look at my salary, or I guess income can come from salary and all different things, but do I want to look at my income? Do I want to look at my net worth? You know, what's left after the end of all my expenses? How much should I put in savings during the year, or how do I want to look at it? It's entirely up to you. I like to look at my personally generated income, or income I caused to be created. So if I have a business that I own and it makes $1 million, that's a good year. But I would consider that my income if I am the leader and the driving force behind that business. If I am working and have a job, and this is just how I do it. You have to decide for yourself how you want to do it. If I had a job, because a lot of years I worked in corporate America, that would be part of my income. Then income from my businesses, that I would consider my income. When I got married, it was all 50-50, right? So it was joint income. I sometimes consider that, but now that I'm divorced, I kind of want to go back, and this time I might do my timeline without any, well, I don't know that I can separate that, right? It's hard to separate because that was part of my story and lessons learned there, right? So that's how you do it. And you just graph the high points and the low points. You know, what are the numbers? And then I always put little explanations, like 2015, I got divorced. So that number went down. So down here in the notes, I would put, you know, divorce, or, you know, when my kids were born, or when something happened in my business, in my life. I want to put a little note to remind me of that, so I don't beat myself up because it's going up and down and up and down and up and down. And what we're looking for, bottom line, what we're looking for over time is, if we have a measure that we like here, a trending upward, right? We're looking for our life to be moving in the direction we want it to. I hope I've explained that right, but let me show you an example of a very messy version of my lifelines, because I do it for each area and aspect of my life. Remember, we've got, grab that. It's not a great graphic, but it works for me. The physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution. It's easier than me trying to remember on my fingers. Okay, so here's a lifeline exercise that I used in the last challenge for different areas and aspects of my life. And I can't see it without a magnifying glass. Let's see what it has to say. I can't even remember what color. I think yellow is emotional. I don't know what orange is. But each one's a different thing that I did. And I originally started it with my health, because you'll see my health timeline has been one of my biggest challenges, up and down. And again, for my health, below the line was, you know, sick and bedridden, kidney surgery, eye surgery, sudden cardiac arrest was way down there because I dropped dead. So physical, that one's a little easier to see, but that's how my physical story has been, how my well-being in my life and my health has been. But we do it for each area and aspect. And then we can see some things that we can, what I like about it is we can see the relationships between certain events in our life and how many different areas and aspects of our life it affects. When you have a sudden cardiac arrest and drop dead, guess what? It affects absolutely every other area of your life. Whereas sometimes when you get married, it usually affects, you know, relationships, finances, physics. I guess it affects almost every area of your life as well. But it helps you to see the relationships and understand and go back and say, okay, well, what did I learn? What are the lessons I learned from my divorce? Not going back and feeling like a victim or sorry or ashamed or whatever you might feel based on your personal situation. But I can go back and I can look at that and I can say, okay, this is the impact, and I can separate it out, because sometimes it's easier to separate out the emotions if I separate out the physical impacts, the financial impacts, the thought process, the mental impacts of certain events that have happened in my life. And that it just helps me to have more observations and pull out some more of the lessons, so I don't have to make more mistakes and figure out other things by making mistakes in my life. So progress, am I moving upward? And I guess that was the whole point of showing this one, is are my graphs trending upward in the direction I want to go, if this little mountaintop is my goal, or are they going the wrong way? And guess what? At any given time, I could look at my graph and say, oh my God, everything's going the wrong way. Have you ever had those times in your life? Most of us have. Or I can look at my graph and I can say, oh my God, everything is going the direction I want it to go, This is good. How do I create more of this in my life? So progress is all about growth, continuous improvement, putting processes and systems in place. And we'll talk about that more down the road as we go through the other areas and aspects of our life and use the soaP framework and apply it to that. Because P is all about how do we make sure that we can guarantee and automate our progress so that as we come up with something and we figure out something that works for us, we make it automatic to do more and more of that. And we'll talk about more of that moving forward. So challenge today, do this lifeline exercise for, if you're doing financial right along with me, do it for the financial area and aspect of your life. If you're doing a different area of your life and working on the soaP framework for that, go ahead and start with that. And just start practicing and playing with this lifeline exercise. I made a bigger one because I want to do a cleaned up one for myself. It's a great time to do this. 2020 has been a hallmark, interesting year for everyone. I think it's a great time to take some time and look back at what's working, what's not, what we want to change. And we don't live in the past. The past does not equal the future. If at any time in my life I had been having a hard time and I decided that the past equals the future and my life was doomed, I probably wouldn't be here today talking to you. But I learned that the past is just something that we can learn from. It's we pick the lessons from that, we move forward to create what we want. We all have failures. We all have setbacks. We all have obstacles. We all have challenges. Thus, the challenges. It's just a natural part of our life. And if we know that, like any other challenge and the hundreds of thousands of challenges we've already overcome in the past, this too shall pass, we can get through absolutely anything, including COVID-19, a virus, a pandemic, whatever. We can get through this too. Any questions? Hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, do your lifeline exercise and then just share whether the activity you did yesterday gave you a positive or a negative result. You don't have to share your timeline. That's for you to do and for you to benefit from. Or you could share if there's one aha moment or lesson that you got from that, share that with us by all means. But all we need you to do is say, okay, I took my action yesterday and this is what happened. I got positive or negative results. Now I did personally do mine yesterday and I got some positive feedback on the Challenge Summit. So of course I'll move forward with that now. But what was your action? You don't have to say what your action was, just positive or negative. Is it moving you toward what you want? Or was it neutral? You don't know yet? Say, hey, question mark, I just don't know yet. Or was it negative? Did it not get you any results or the results that you thought it would get you? Some actions that we take, we expect quick results. Other actions, we're like planting seeds and we set something in motion and we know that we're not going to know in one day if it's moving us toward what we want or not. Think of all of the little things that we do every day. We don't really know the absolute outcome of those actions, but we will know down the road. So positive, negative, neutral, that's your action item to share today. But do this lifeline exercise. I guarantee if you've never done it, you will be surprised and amazed at some of the things you learn about yourself. Have an awesome day. I'll be with you tomorrow with our 15th day, the halfway point already of our Get Up and Go challenge. Take care.